What do you believe are some of the challenges faced by women and other minorities who own businesses in Arizona? And what do you intend to do to help them meet those challenges?
Thank you. I grew up in a family of 9, 8 girls and 1 boy, so I know a lot about women. I mean, there were 8 of us and my poor brother. He did turn out normal. I look at us as equal. I really do. I was raised that way. I think my father primarily raised us, and he never raised us to think that there's something different because we're a woman and we can't, move forward in this world without looking for something special for us. And so I want to create a fair work environment and a level playing field for all businesses. And when you have that, then you have a great environment for women-run business. You have a great environment for Hispanic-run businesses, men-run businesses. I don't care, what your background is. If you want to start a business, we want Arizona to be a friendly place for you and a helpful place for you to start that business. We want this to be the place where you can realize your American dream, because let's face it, the president we have in office right now is destroying this country. And while we're all sitting up here, I'm not sure we can all save America in one fell swoop, but we can certainly save Arizona and make sure that this is one of the best states to raise a family, own a business, start a business, and reach your dreams and your full potential. And to do that, we need to look at our tax burden. We need to look at making sure we have safe streets. I mentioned that before. We can't have a great state if we don't have a safe state. And that's why with the Democrats pushing defunding the police, I can't imagine a worse idea. I don't care if you're a Democrat, independent, or Republican-owned business, you want a safe environment and a safe community to grow that business. And so we need to fully fund our police and support that and get tough on crime. I know a lot of people who have businesses and they say they're thinking of shutting them down because the shoplifting is so out of control. When someone shoplifts, when someone commits a crime, when they trespass, when they do something, take something that's not theirs, we have to go after them and we have to prosecute them. And that means electing the right people who will actually do that. So we want a safe state, we want a great state, and we want a good state for all businesses, male-owned, female-owned, Hispanic, white, black, you name it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So look, I come at this with from a very personal approach because, as I mentioned earlier, my mom was a small business owner, my grandmother was a small business owner. I come from a tradition of small business ownership. My dad was a plumber by trade, and I saw the struggles many times that they were trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And so one of the issues that I know impacted them was access to credit. I mentioned it earlier. And so we've got to make sure that we are working through our Department of Commerce, as I did when I was the director, to make sure that we are reaching out to each one of our 15 counties and 22 tribes so that they know that they have the ability to not only access credit, but put together business plans and have the expertise so that they can thrive in the communities that they're in. The other issue is broadband. So look, I was part of the founding team for Connect to Compete, bringing broadband to rural America. We've now connected 1 million homes in the U.S., 30,000 of them here in Arizona, so that we could connect and allow businesses to thrive, women and minority-owned businesses, so that they could get access to the internet and sell their goods. The other issue is how we are providing an opportunity to reskill, working with our trade schools, so that if a business owner wants to get a new profession or a new skill or a new opportunity to excel in their business, they have the opportunity to do so by accessing those curriculum in our trade schools throughout our state. These are, I think, sensible issues that we can all come together on and work towards so that small businesses can thrive. And I agree, regardless of your background, regardless if it's male or female, these are opportunities that we have an obligation to oversee and promote so that everyone does feel that Arizona is that place that people can succeed.
Thank you.
If you're a small business, woman business owner in the state of Arizona, I would like to provide, if you have children, child tax credits to offset your taxable income if you're a small business and you're a woman business owner. I think that would help small businesses that are women owned. I think that's a big thing. Also the micro business loans on a state level. I think at the state level we can help with that. But here's the thing. We're not going to be in business if we don't have water. And right now, the state's water resources are dwindling greatly. It's a big problem. Ducey had mentioned that, and some of my other competitors have mentioned that we should build a desalination plant in Mexico. I don't believe we should do that. I believe we should build one right where one is today. We have one in Yuma, Arizona. It was built in 1992 by the Army Corps of Engineers. I think we should make that bigger, much bigger than what it is today. Maybe make it 10 times bigger. Take the Israeli technology, use that technology to desalinize water in Yuma. We can pipe the water in from Mexico to Yuma, desalinize it in Yuma, and create jobs for Yuma, and we can create more small business, woman-owned businesses in Yuma in doing so, and then also take that water, pipe it to Phoenix, and recharge our water wells, because our water wells and our well levels are dropping as the decades go on. We need to refill those, or we're not going to have a future in business here in Arizona. That's a huge thing, water in this state. And with water, we need to do forest management. Our forests are overgrown. Those forests are taking a lot of water out of the aquifers. If we cut them back by maybe 50%, that would increase our water supplies by 10%. And if you go back 150 years, we only had 11 ponderosa pine trees per acre. Now we have 1,100 per acre. The forests are overgrown, and that's a problem, and people need to realize, and that's a problem that's also taking away from our water resources too, because those trees suck up a lot of gallons per minute. So these are things we need to solve if we're going to grow businesses in Arizona. Otherwise, there is no Arizona, and there is no future for Arizona. We need to solve our water problems. That's number one. And then we can focus on the smaller issues at hand later.
Thank you very much. And just to remind the last three candidates, the question is, what do you believe are some of the challenges faced by women and other minorities who own businesses in Arizona? And what do you intend to do to help them meet those challenges? Candidate Simon.
I think that the challenges have always been barriers to entry. I think we've got to make sure that the regulatory policies make it so that anybody can live the American dream, that it's easy to be able to get into business and to be able to provide a living for your family. Governor Ducey did a lot of reciprocity with occupational licenses from other states. I think that was a great idea. I think we ought to continue in that vein. Again, getting rid of the income tax, I think, would be a really big boon for a lot of folks in the business world, everybody. But let me talk about an issue that happened in the last couple of years that I think hurt a lot of businesses. And I've heard from a lot of women-owned businesses. I have two daughters, and one of them helps her husband's dental business. The other one has her own private business. And I have 4 granddaughters, and I want them all to be successful in their life. Over the last couple of years, though, I believe the government got really heavy-handed. I believe that when businesses were shut down in the name of COVID, it was a big mistake. And a lot of people lost their whole livelihoods. And when they shut down the schools in the name of COVID, my oldest daughter got so angry she ended up running for the school board in Mesa and got elected. Kids were falling through the cracks right and left, and it put major additional stresses, especially on the mothers. And I believe that 2 of my dear friends, Ron DeSantis in Florida, Kristi Noem in South Dakota, they did it the right way. They kept business and schools open, and that's what I would do if that problem happened during my watch.
I said before, I want Arizona to be the small business capital of America, and that goes for all businesses, whether it's male-owned, female-owned, or minority-owned. But make no mistake, women and minorities face disproportionate burdens. I was a small business owner myself. When I had my law firm, I had 3 babies. I had 1 in law school and 3 more while I was practicing law. And believe me, it took a lot of people helping me to survive. I had my mother, for example, would accompany me to city council hearings to have the baby in the car so that during breaks I could go out and nurse my baby. So I understand a lot of the impacts that women have to go through. We have disproportionate impacts when it comes to health care, child care, and access to capital. And I will be sensitive to that because I live that. I have 2 of my 4 kids here with me today who have been very large and instrumental in me running for office. I was a single mom, so I understand the needs of childcare. I was a single mom for 12 years. And so my kids saw me. They saw what I went through, what I had to do, get up every single day and go. So women do have a lot of extra hurdles that they have to go through as small business owners. And I know access to capital is a big deal in order to form your business and keep your businesses going, in particular during times like COVID, when we all got hit in ways none of us could imagine. But in my own experience and that of other women that I know that own businesses, we just get up and we go. But it certainly helps to have a tax and a regulatory environment that allows us, if we get up and we go and we work hard, allows us an environment to succeed. I've done it myself. I know many, many women who have done it, and I want to make sure when I'm governor that every woman, every minority, and every business owner has the opportunity to succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to empower women in business. You know what? I've never looked at I couldn't do something, and perhaps it was the poverty I went through when we came from Italy. I always believed I could do it. And you've got to tell yourself you can do it. I didn't look at myself and says, I'm not a man, I can't do it. No. And then there's a fear that sets in sometimes. And you say, can I do it? You got that fear in your gut? You know what? You go right through it. When you get that fear in your gut, that's when you need to do it. Because you can win. Because God's going to bring you there. You're going to bring yourself there. And that's what I always said. You know what? I had a huge meeting with the new corporation that bought me, and I said, you know what? You overplan. The bank once told me, I want your business plan. Hell, I started to do the business plan. I scared myself. You know what? I went for it. And in my business, it's mostly a man's business. When you're dealing with automation, 150 people, and you've got deadlines, that's an industrial business. But you know what? I never saw it as a man's business. It became my business, and you go for it. No one discriminates today. When we talk about we don't have, women have as much opportunity. You just have to see it, and you have to do it. And you don't overplan in your mind. Take the first step, because I want to tell you something. Business, it evolves. You think you've got a great plan. You're going to calculate the money you need. You're going to calculate what you're going to do. You know what? It changes, it evolves, and you better be ready to meet the challenges and overcome obstacles. And that's how you get your win. So I inspire women, and I think never look at yourself as anything different than the ability that a man has. We're great workers. We have a great mind. Women get things done. So when you get that fear in your gut, you go for it. And the other thing, we have a workforce problem for businesses, small and large.
Thank you.